All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Verman Michael, and I am just so over the moon about this episode that we're about to record and this incredible woman that I get to interview. Not only is she just a really, really good human, but she is doing some very, very cool things with my favorite platform of choice, of course, Instagram. So I can't wait to welcome to the show none other than Tina Caul, founder of the Caul Group Residential. She was recently named in the top 25 in the entire nation for all real estate brands. And this just came out with Real Trends. So that's a huge stat all by itself. But she is currently the #1 East Coast team for EXP Realty. And we're going to kick this off with just who are you, Tina? And welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I always say I'm a hope dealer. I really was just a girl lost in her 20s, didn't really know what I would be doing, and real estate found me. And I've been passionate about it for 24 years, and it's been so good to me. So that's
Oh
who I
my,
am. I
I
deal
love it.
hope.
I love it. Hope dealer. That's how we're going to title this episode. Tina is
Right.
dealer of hope of all things personal and real estate. I
If
love
I
it.
can do it, trust me, you can do it too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Amazing. Well, I want to start with a couple of unique things that this is going to be a conversation that I really think is very timely and I think people need to hear, especially during the season that we are in. But let's back all the way up to 5 years ago because you and I had a really fun conversation offline about how Instagram was not on your radar at all 5 years ago. And what you've done in just a very short amount of time is not just awe-inspiring, but it's super, super authentic. So take me back to 5 years ago. What was going on for you?
Yeah, so I think the social media platforms were just starting to get a little more fire and people were talking about them a little bit more, but they never intrigued me. I mean, I was a real estate agent that came into the office every day, put my head down. I never put my face on signs. I didn't have my face on my card. I was like, my doctor doesn't have their face on a card. Why should I? I'm a professional. I sell homes. I'm an advisor. And so I never got into marketing. But when I moved over after 18 years of just being completely in the grind, selling 130 homes a year personally every single year, I was like, okay, I need leverage. And so I read more about building teams and starting to go that route. And when I started to read about it, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And thank God about 5 years ago, I found my firm, EXP Realty. And so that was a firm that not only could you build your local team, but you could build a national and international team. And so I looked at that opportunity and I'm like, you know what? I'm a community builder. I love building communities, but how am I going to get the word out? Oh God, I have to do video. And I'm the person that every time I did a video, I'm like, oh, look at that pimple, or oh God, my hair looks terrible. And I hate the way my lip curls that way. God, my voice makes me cringe. So I was like everyone else. Nobody likes to look at themselves, hear themselves, and judge themselves. We're our worst critics. But I knew that if I did not adopt this idea of being a marketer first, I was going to fail in delivering the hope or the message that you too can do real estate at a high level and or you too can build a team and lead and grow. And so, yeah, I turned on that damn camera and I started.
Oh my gosh. Well, talk to me about the beginning of that. Cause I mean, I remember when I first started doing video, the audio was terrible. I mean, honestly, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I just
Yeah.
hit record every time. And
Yeah.
even almost 5 years ago now, almost 6 years, actually, we're closer to 6 years than five. But when I launched my program, I remember recording every single video for the entire course and looking at the actual visual of it too, and being like,
Yeah.
damn, my camera sucks. Like, and I just did it anyway, right? But like, talk to me about that experience for you. Like, what did it look like? How did you record? Did you even choose what to be talking about?
It's so funny because I think the one thing about me that you'll learn is I'm an action taker. I always say action takers are money makers. When you start building a business or starting a new initiative, I think what people tend to do is they get ready to get going to begin to try to make it perfect before they start. And what they end up doing is nothing. And
Mm.
so if you're going to wait for perfection or until you're comfortable and confident on camera and you can be like, the next Oprah, it ain't happening. It's not happening. So it's like riding a bike. You're going to fall over. You're going to fail. I had no mics. I had my Zoom camera most of the time, or my phone, or I had a little those little cameras that you put over your laptop, the little whatever cam. That
Yeah.
was really what I had. It would fall to the side, and I adjust it. But what's funny is this: I've learned through the last 5 years of making hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of videos now, that even my crappy video performs better than the video that I never did. So I'm not one to be like, I don't want to add this video to my feed because it's just not right. If you go to my YouTube page, which I started a couple years ago, we have 16,000 followers, and some of my best performing videos are like a Zoom camera. It's a Zoom meeting. I'm kind of off center. It's fuzzy, it's grainy, and we have 150,000 views. And I'm like, the content was good. People don't care how it looks. They care that the content is good. So I would say start. You're going to suck. It's going to feel uncomfortable. And eventually you're just going to get over looking at yourself and realize that the message is the most important thing. Are you truly helping somebody have a shift in their thought process? Are you coming from contribution? And if you are coming from contribution and it's truly valuable content, the followers just grow. But if you're going on there and posting houses every day or your food and you're not entertaining, sorry, but you're just doing it to do it, and you're going to see that you don't have any followers. Like nobody's really enjoying the content.
Well, and I also think too, one of the number one things that I think about when I post anything is, am I going to start a conversation? Like point blank, right? Because I mean, I laugh about this, but, and you may not know this, Tina, because I don't know if we had a chance to talk about it, but about a week ago, I walked in on Knox in his bedroom, and for the first time in 3 years, there was poop everywhere, like everywhere. He had taken his diaper off and chucked it across the room, full of poop. There was a big poop, pile right next to his crib, all down the side of the crib, all over him. And he just looked at me and he goes, "Mommy, I wake up." I'm like, "Well, you sure did." But what I did there, and in that exact moment, was I was like, this is a conversation starter that I can then turn into a subliminal business play, is what I call that in my world. But I was able to turn it into an entire video. It was a 15-minute live video that I got to talk about what I love to talk about, which is prospecting on Instagram. But I didn't start that way. I started with the story. So my question to you is how do you produce content so consistently with the conversation piece in the forefront of your mind, knowing that if I post this, my goal is one thing and one thing only, which is to get people to want to talk to me?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's in the beginning, if I'm being completely honest, I was doing it because everybody said you had to do it. And it wasn't that good. The content was more just looking, I guess if you had a lens looking into my life, it was me at the office, it was me having fun with our agents, it was me, going to Starbucks and talking about, my favorite drink. And it was more just, hey, get to know me. And I don't know, I thought that's what you did. I thought that's what people wanted. But now it's definitely more intentional because my thing is people want information. And when everything is free, that's great. Like I had 5 years of giving away my script book for free. Anything you wanted was free. My information, free, free, free. I built so much trust with the audience because there was no play to make money. There was nothing. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, people want more from me. They want more education. They want more advice. I don't have the bandwidth to help everyone one-to-one, but I do have the bandwidth to make products that can help one-to-many. And so if I'm going to be intentional with helping people, which I do love doing, I have to get into the information sales business. Okay, now I have to be strategic and think, Tina called 24 years ago. Let's start day one. What were her pain points? That's a new agent. What pain points could I solve in that woman's life, year 1, 2, 3, and 4, versus Tina Caul today? I have different pain points today that aren't going to resonate unless you're a team leader and you have 50 agents on your team or a network of 1,500 people. It's not going to land. So I have to think about who is my audience? What can I help them solve? And then my content is going to give them enough information to where they're like, oh yeah, I have that problem too. And could she solve it? And then that leads them to the information that I have to sell. I used to have such a hard time thinking about selling something that I could just give someone for free. I really had a hard time with it. But what I realized is when people pay, they pay attention. They pay attention. The service that you even provide, when the service you provide for me, there's a lot of things that I have to do. If I wasn't paying you every month, I might take 6 months to get you the things that I need to get you, but I have to pay you every month. So I'm paying attention and going, oh my God, I have to make this a priority because I'm paying. So, when we do a 7-week launch for listing mastery and you're paying $3,500 or $4,000, you're going to show up to those 7 hours of education versus, hey, come to my listing mastery for free. I'll just pour into you. And you guys end up not showing up on week 3. that's not going to solve their problem. I'm actually failing them by not charging them, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I literally just made a note of this. When people pay, they pay attention. Like that needs to be a
Mhm.
billboard somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I feel like, especially, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. I remember many years ago, everything was free. Everything. I just couldn't even,
everything.
I couldn't give
Right,
stuff away fast enough. And it was
right.
just like people, I felt like I had a voice. I felt like I had something to say. And I was really just trying to share it with the masses. But to your point now, when people pay, they pay attention. It's so true, right? Like you even made a comment about that just now of, hey, you have to get my team what is required of you in order for things to move, right? Or for the needle to
Right,
get moved forward.
right.
But that also ties into one of the big conversations that I want to have with you, which is that you, Tina, still have to be involved in the process. And
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that that is a massive problem in our industry. Real estate agents, especially in your seat, which there aren't many obviously in the country, but there are a lot of agents that are doing big things, right? But they always wear this kind of quote busy badge, I feel like, and I hear that every day, whether it's in a Facebook message, a DM on Instagram, or I'm on a sales call. They're like, well, I'm just so busy, I just don't have time, right?
Mhm.
And I look at you and I'm like, you're probably one of the busiest people in the country in this world, in this real estate space, and you still make time for it. So can we dig into that? I feel like there's layers, but let's dig into that part of it.
Well, I think that, the one thing that I've learned, and I've tried to give my social media to other people, I've tried, and I actually had a great social media manager that did a phenomenal job. I would dig into stuff and be like, we need to add many chat automation. We need to add, so I'm always researching. I'm a researcher, and I know I want things to have a result. So I didn't want to post just to post. So she did great. But the thing is, I would look at the posts that she made. They were my picture, maybe my video, but when I want to deliver a message, how can someone else's brain capture all of my experiences, all of my uniqueness, all of my personal genius? I believe everybody has their own personal genius. There is no way that another human can download my thoughts and where I'm coming from, my intentions, how I want to say this. So when you are speaking to an audience, it has to authentically be you. And if you're saying you're too busy, well, then you're too busy to become successful intentionally.
Mm.
Success is intentional micro commitments every single day. That's what success is. I'm intentionally getting smarter when I read this book. Why? So I can take what I learned and implement it to have more success. I'm intentionally going to this conference to surround myself with big thinking people so I can get poured into, but then I have to take 20% of what I learned and I have to go implement it. If I just go and take information like cotton candy and just eat it and oh my God, this is so good. And then I come to my desk and I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. I have to put out fires and I do nothing with it. You just wasted all of that intentional time learning something. So leaders are learners. Yes, you have to go learn and lead, but then you have to come back and action takers are money makers. And that's where the success comes in because you're going to turn into a leader that gets results where then people are going to follow you because of your results. And then eventually they'll follow you because you built a legacy of like, hey, like this person's a good human. Every time I'm around them, I love them. So they follow you because of what your, perception of success is. And they kind of agree with that. So I don't know. I feel like you can't be too busy to build a company like that. You're building a company and part of it is marketing and part of it is you. You're the star of your own show. You can't give that away.
No, and I think one of the things you said really resonates with me because I don't ever let anyone manage my DMs, right? So
Yeah.
like we're talking
Yeah.
about DMs specifically in this portion of it, which is for me, when I look at my DMs, you said it exactly how I say it, which is nobody can look at a message from someone. Like if you message me on Instagram, right? Let's pretend nobody's
Yeah.
going to be able to look at your name, log
Right.
in through my account and be able to understand how I'm connected to you, right? So they're
Correct.
not going to be able
Correct.
to go through all of the thoughts and the things that I think of when I think of you. They're not going to be able to remember or know all of the conversations that you and I have had separately, right? They're not going to know who you know that I might also know. They're not going to
Right.
know how I even got connected to you in the first place. Like all of those little micro connections or neural pathways, right? That my brain is going to go all around.
Right.
Not going
Right.
to be able to do that, right? And
Right.
I think that's the conversation here, which is some people get the busy badge and actually automate themselves right out of the success that Instagram is designed to help you build. And we're doing it. You're doing it every single day. So can you talk to me about your DM specifically? Because I assume you have messages upon messages, and we talked about ManyChat very briefly, and I'm sure we'll come back to that. But what does that look like for you? How do you manage that? How do you time block it? How do you say this has to be a priority, but I also have a bunch of other shit I got to get done every day?
I mean, I have all of my, I think sales is communication. So I have, 5 Slack channels. I have my, text messages, right? If I'm on a podcast for 45 minutes, I'm going to come back to my phone and probably have 20 to 25 text messages from whoever. I'll look at my Instagram and throughout the day, I'll just check it and just keep up with it. It's the baby bites, right? I'm just in between, a phone call, I'm running to the bathroom. I've got my phone in the bathroom and I am checking my DMs and I'm doing my thing and taking my pee and I'm definitely responding to 5 messages. Like it's just that tenacity to always be active. If I'm at a stoplight, I'm texting, right? So we just have it as a forefront. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but that's so obsessive. Where do you find balance? I'm like, you know what? When you're building, there's no balance. Sorry, there just isn't. And if you want to be balanced all the time, then you're probably not going to grow the business that you want. Now, I can absolutely have balance and say, I'm going to turn it all off and I'm going to go to Costa Rica for a month. I could do that right now, but I actually do enjoy staying busy and feeling like I'm doing something proactive. And that's where I think there are some entrepreneurs that are built like us, where we like to be busy and it's a badge of honor, and others don't like to be busy, and that's okay. And I think the success is where the happiness lies. If you want to be, make $100,000 a year, have, 20 hours a week invested in whatever business you're in, go on 3 vacations, love your family, and live in this, perfect house that is perfect for you guys, that's success. That is success because that human said, this is what I envision. I want these hours in the day. This is the amount of money I want to make. Boom, you're successful. Versus somebody who's making $100 million running 15 companies like Tony Robbins, that's his idea of success. And damn it, he did it. But he's not sitting back letting people do his, DMs when he was first starting. Like he was doing the grunt work. But I also want to say, I think that you have to be very effective and efficient. So this is a little trick that I'll give the audience. I've just been on a podcast with you for whatever we've been on, 20 minutes. I have a video camera in my face, right? My own phone, and it's on record and I see my face there on a side angle. Now I have 20 to 30 minutes of content. I'm going to send that to my content person who I, pay a VA, like under $10 an hour to chop up all my content. I can't be as authentic as I am having a conversation with you than when I hit record and I look into a camera and I'm like, oh God, what am I going to say? It doesn't come off as natural because I think that's where people struggle. Michelle, I don't know what to say. I don't have any ideas. Oh, I get every time that camera goes on, I just don't know what to say. Do you talk to your clients every day? Do you talk to your agents? Get a camera in front of your face, record yourself having a very natural conversation, chop that baby up, and now you have 16 pieces of content in a 16-minute.
Think about how many agents of yours do. This is a great great comment because I'm so happy that you just said that. But imagine how many agents do Zoom meetings with their buyers or sellers, right?
So many.
If you're sitting at your desk, to your point, I have my tripod literally right here with me. My phone is over here though, in front of me, but I have a tripod next to me to my right, and then I have my main camera and directly in front of me, and that's it. I don't have a fancy videographer following me around, none of that, right? But how many agents right now here, and loan officers listening, you guys count too, right? Yeah. How many of you guys are on Zoom with your buyers or sellers, talking to them about their situation, their house, their buying situation, all of it, right? And guess what happens in those moments? You are in your zone of genius, just like we are right now. We're not trying to look at our camera saying, okay, I hope I don't mess this up. I got to memorize this first sentence, these 40 seconds, right? We're talking in our love lane. And you agents listening to this, you're doing that when you're on Zoom with your clients, right? Just record it. And then you're not stressed by, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't mess that up. Or, oh my gosh, I don't like my hair. Because who cares? You're very intentionally talking about something that you're passionate about. And that's what our audience needs so desperately, because quite frankly, and I'm almost 100% that you'll agree, all these overly fancy edited B-roll videos with all of this yada yada happening all over the place, like it is so inauthentic in my opinion, and it's way overdone, right? And it's sold to our audience of like, hey, you have to go have all these super expensive videos, you have to go pay a videographer $5,000 a month to follow you around. right? And
Right.
it really taints what this platform is truly all about, which is me and you having a real and genuine conversation about something that we love.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's 100%. And so I sometimes it's that aha moment, especially for some of our leaders in our group, when I'm like, guys, you guys have the best content. You just forget to record it. And it's when you are exactly in your authentic zone of genius. I can't script what's in my brain. It's just in my brain. Ask me anything about real estate and I can spit it off very, very quickly. But if you put a camera in my face and you're like, tell me the 5 steps to becoming a great agent, I'm like, oh, what are the 5 steps? Like, like I have to think and it's, so I don't know. I think it's just a matter of capturing that content and sending it to an editor. It is not that hard. And then sometimes you can do a little, a little B-roll video here and there, put your voice over it. You're going to get more proficient the more that you do it. You're going to get more creative. I always go in and I save inspirational reels from other people that have done things. And I try to use that as not a copy it exact, but I might use that as my inspiration for the next 5 posts. And so I'm just always saving drafts and putting them in, my Instagram. And I've always got like one something to share a day. I used to try to do 2. That was a lot. So I'm not going to try to be an overachiever. I'm just going to try to do 1 a day. And sometimes it's 1 every 3 days, but I'm still consistent enough in my stories where I'm doing 5 or 6 stories. So you can't be perfect, but just start and keep restarting when you feel like you've had a lull. The key is just to keep restarting.
Yeah. And to give yourself grace when you don't, right? Or like in that lull, because I also think sometimes people will be like, well, I forgot to post for a week. So now I'm just screwed. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? And the
Right.
reality is like, just post again, like just get back on
Yeah.
the horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm with you. Like I talk about this a lot, which posting every day for me, because I am my own person posting, even though I have a full team that I could totally make do it for me. Like I still want it to be me. And so
Right.
because of that, I've had to find my own consistency. Like, what does that mean for me? And I know I can post stories every single day. I also know that I can post a piece of content probably every 2 or 3 days. I'm really confident in that time frame, right? If you were to tell me, Michelle, you have to post on Instagram every single day, a video or a this or a that or whatever it is, it's not that I'm not capable, because I totally am. But the reality is that's not going to feel super authentic for me, because I'm on Zoom 5-6 hours a day. I'm on podcasts all the time. I'm teaching a webinar all the time. Like I'm just in too many other places mentally to be able to then come back to that and give my post 100% of what it needs, or to your point, the intentional energy that might need. And so I honor that. And I say, you know what, today's not the day, but tomorrow will be. And that's okay. So I think that there's a lot to content production that we are misled in, right? Or the people that are out there preaching it are not creating hope, and you're in the business of hope dealing. And I like to feel like I create some semblance of hope that this really isn't as hard as people want it, or think that it needs to be, or think that it is. And we have to be okay with saying, no, you don't have to do that. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Do the best that you can. And it's just being intentional about also learning the platform. I mean, you can't just be like, "Oh, it's so hard." Well, how often are you trying it? If you can just give it 20 to 30 minutes a day where you're playing around with it. Like every night I used to say, this was early in the Instagram day, like I work during the day, I build my empire at night. And it was because I would be in there like learning how to make a video and all the little buttons. And it's like, and I would, go into other people's DMs and build conversations. And I think you taught me this. It's like, who do I need? I need to meet one new person a day and sort of become, get into their world. And that's what it is. It's like, my thought process is always, here's my content over here. I'm a billboard. And then if I engage with this person over here who has no idea that I exist, then when they come to my content, what do I want them to see? Like, what is it that they initially are going to know about me? And then are they going to be captured into the content and go, wow, I really like this person, or I really don't. And that's okay. 50% of the people that you meet don't like you. It's fine. Like get over it. Like you're not going to get everybody that likes you, but there's millions and billions of people on the planet. All you need is 100,000.
All you need is one. No. And I'm with you. Like the goal, like what I say in my space, you just said it, but one new relationship every day. That's it. Right. And so I'm very intentional on when I open up my Instagram for my prospecting time of my day, what is my one new relationship that I need to go create? Some days it's fast and some days it's not as fast, right? So some days I can you use the word in the very beginning of this episode, and I don't even know if you knew that you said it, but you use the word leverage, one of my favorite words, right? Which is how can we leverage a relationship that we already have to build a bridge to the new one or to the next one. And even how you and I met, right? We have a mutual friend, Grant Wise, love the guy. And I saw that he had interviewed you. And I thought to myself, just listening to the episode, I was like, this is my kind of girl. So I reached out to Grant and I said, hey, can you introduce me to Tina? He was like, for sure, absolutely. That's fast forward. Here we are many, many months later. But the reality is in that day, that was an easy one for me. I leveraged my relationship with Grant to create my relationship with you. Some days it's not quite that easy, right? Some days I have to build a bridge to someone that has no idea who I am. And to your point, that's a little bit of a longer, more intentional effort. I got to go look at their content. I got to consume their most recent handful of posts that they put up. I got to watch a couple of videos. I may have to Google them and see what else I find, right? And then I'm going to send a very intentional message to create the opening to that. And both of them are excellent, right? Both of them can help you build your empire that you're after or build your community socially. But I think that both of them serve a very important purpose, and it's not one or the other. Because if you live in this space of I'm only going to leverage existing relationships to create new ones, you're going to miss a massive sea of opportunity that's on the platform, right? So Tina, this is a interesting question, and my brain just went here and I want to capture it. When you're on Instagram going actively reaching out to people that you don't know, what does that sound like for you? Like, what do you say? How do you open the conversation?
Well, it's always authentic. So I love to see the potential in others, and I do see the potential in others. So maybe I came across somebody's page and I'm like, wow, it's so aesthetically pleasing. Like you can tell they were so intentional about how they laid things out. I might just say that. I might just say, hey, I'm just here, an observer, and I'm admiring your page. Like it's beautiful. I can tell you worked really hard at it. Is that you doing it or somebody else? It might be somebody who's crushing it in real estate and they're just like sale after sale after sale. And it's like, wow, like who's your coach? How did you get into real estate? Like, I'm just so curious. Like, how did you learn to sell at such a high level? So you're complimenting, but you're just genuinely curious. And I think that for me, I've always been a very curious person. We talk about working genius a lot, and I'm an IDW, which means I love to create ideas. I love to poke holes in things and follow my gut. And then I wonder a lot. And so the wonder is like looking at the environment and seeing how we can make it better. And so I'm always looking at a human going, man, how could we elevate this person? What is their natural genius? And how can they get it out, into the media or into the public to inspire others? So it's just being genuine and like, don't be weird. Don't try to sell them something. Like the goal is always, let me make a connection, a genuine connection, and let me get in this person's world. And if they like what they see, they will continue the back and forth. One guy comes to mind. He loved to golf. He was like the golfing realtor. So we started chatting back and forth. Well, he had this hookup with like a shoe company. And so he sent me, he asked me for some help with real estate. And of course I helped him. And then he sent me a box of shoes. He was like, what's your address? So I gave him my address, and then boom, a pair of 6.5, new FootJoy, whatever. And I was like, oh, this is some strange guy I met on Instagram. And now we become buddies. And, I've introduced him into other groups, prospecting groups. So it's like, that's how those relationships build. He's still not with my company. I didn't try to recruit him. I don't care. Like, to me, I'm like, if you're looking for a new company, you might say, hey, I have a question about that. And can I talk to you? Sure. If not, though, my job is to become friendly with peers and just help elevate people's business. Coming from abundance, that's the rule. Like if you come from scarcity and you're always looking to what's in it for me and let me get this person to buy or come recruit this person, it's probably not going to go well for you. But if you find that you actually like people and you're curious about them without an initiative behind it, genuinely, you're just going to get a lot of abundance that comes back to you.
Well, and I think you just nailed it on that, because I think LinkedIn, for example, nobody at me or nobody throw a tomato at me and Tina on YouTube if you're watching the full length video, but LinkedIn is the worst sales breath platform on the planet.
It is. It
The
is.
amount of messages I get of people that have clearly not read a word on my
Right.
profile,
Right.
have certainly not clicked on Instagram to look at it. Like you can totally tell from a mile away.
Right.
I've honestly started messing with some of them because it's
Right.
like, it's kind of fun, right? Where
Yeah.
you'll respond back and you'll say like, did you copy and paste that to at least 50 people since you sent
Right.
that to me?
Right.
And most of
Right.
them will respond saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I'm actively recruiting on whatever." And then I got one on on Facebook very recently. A gentleman who was very clearly copy and pasting and sending it to as many people as possible. We
Yeah.
actually got in a little bit of a riff, like not a good one, right? Like he was kind of coming at me for saying like, who are you? Like I've built XYZ big a business. I have, 150 people that come on Zoom with me every Wednesday. And this is exactly how I do it, exactly what I'm doing with you. And I was like, sir, I understand that. And that's awesome. But
Right.
no offense to you, I do this for a living, and reading your initial message, it was awful. Like that was
Right.
a
Right.
massive turnoff to me because you very clearly did not read my profile. It was this gentleman that was teaching like investing classes to newer
Yeah.
investors, right? And on my profile anywhere, does it say anything about the fact that I actively sell real estate anymore? No, right? If you read my profile, you would know that my job is to serve the real estate community. If you looked at 2 posts down on what I posted on Facebook or Instagram, you would see that, right?
Right.
And long story short, we had a really solid back and forth of probably about 20 messages. And he finally came off of his high horse and was like, you know what, you're right. And I appreciate the feedback. I'm going to take your feedback and I'm going to tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit more authentic. And taking that
There
two
you
seconds
go.
to read someone's profile, I haven't done that. And you're right. And I said to him, I was like, I appreciate that because what would 200 people on your Zooms look like for you as opposed to
Exactly.
100 or 150? What would a
Exactly.
2% conversion rate of those 150 people, like 2% better, look like for your business? Because instead of just getting anyone and everyone, get the right people there. Because guess
Oh
what? I
yeah.
could have said yes to your message and shown up
Yes.
to your call and been like, I'm just here for the free whatever, and had no intention of actually being there.
Or even you work in the real estate community. If that is a person that you felt was authentic, trustworthy, and could give value, you may have introduced that person to your real estate community. And that's really what they don't get. So
100%. Well, Tina, I want to be a good steward of your time. I know we could probably talk forever, and honestly, we will, I'm sure. But I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to talk about what is coming up for you. Where is Tina going to be next? And then what do you have coming up that someone who is listening to this could get dialed into?
oh my goodness. Well, every first Thursday of every month, we have an all access pass. And in fact, we've got one tomorrow, and we basically go from 11 to 2, and we have Zooms where we have speakers and we pour into real estate agents about different subjects. And then the next place I'll be is Build in Michigan, in Detroit in August. So they can find me on socials. And if they need help in real estate, I am here for them.
I love it so much. You are incredible and honestly such a wealth of knowledge and just an all around amazing person to spend time with. So I really appreciate you coming on my show and pouring into my audience. This will not be the only time that we do this. And I know we have a lot of fun things ahead for the two of us together. So this is just the beginning for people hearing of Tina. So guys, thank you so much for being here, listening to the episode. If you love Tina, please reach out to her, let her know that you heard her on the episode. And then of course, as always, reviews are everything. So please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening. If you watch us on YouTube, same thing. You can leave a comment and let me know that you saw us. But Tina, until next time, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, friends. See you, everyone.